What is going on YouTube? We are here with a week 9 recap. Last week I was pretty down in the dumps about the XFL, to be honest. For my Dragons lost. Putting them a game behind San Antonio at the time. Not San Antonio, excuse me, St. Louis. They were a game behind them. Wasn't feeling great. They had to go on the road to St. Louis this week. Always a tough road environment. They've been playing better, but they kind of been making a lot of little mistakes that I thought were gonna pay. Um, we're gonna bite them in the butt, quite frankly. So I was kind of down. I was just bummed by my team. Wasn't a lot of intrigue. I didn't think there's some in the South. I think the South division's fine, but um, And then this week brought me back in. I am back, baby. Week 10 cannot come soon enough. It was a great weekend sports wise. We'll get into all the games, but for me, first off, Philadelphia 76ers won their first playoff game. Nice. Philly Stars won their first USFL game. We'll talk a little bit about that quickly. Nice. Seattle Dragons smoke St. Louis by 18 points. Very nice. So I am back in. We're going to get to all the games. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below any thoughts. If you want to sponsor me, that link's in there. And we will get into it. I'm not sure where that is right now. Oh, there it is. All righty. So let's go. This game meant something for San Antonio. San Antonio had to win to have a chance to stay in the playoffs race, and they did. I'm really impressed with Orlando, though. They've really competed. I don't know their point differential. I could check it, go through it, I guess, but a lot of really close losses, especially after that early disaster. They looked really, really bad early, and they've really come along nicely. Really made some nice plays along the way. Good running game. The passing game has been a lot better. Not great, but better than it was. The defense has been playing solidly enough. Couldn't get it done. I think that's kind of how I felt about the what team am I thinking of? Am I confusing? What was the team? Oh, the XFL team in 2020. The Tampa Bay. Hold on, this is gonna drive me crazy. Let's see. Tampa Bay Vipers. That's what I was thinking. But anyway, the Florida team didn't win a lot of games. I don't know. They were a little better than Orlando was, but competed. But Jack Cohn with an efficient game, lots of yards. I like that. Not great running. Real close game. Defense was big. 3 sacks and a pick. That'll get it done. So big win for them. They go up to 3-6. Orlando, I believe, falls to 1 let's just go do this. 1-8. Tough. A lot of tough losses. But this was a big game too, actually. Arlington could have clinched that second playoff spot. And it was a real neck and neck game the entire way through. It wasn't really actually neck and neck, excuse me. DC was commanding, had a lot of penalties. I'll go to that stat quickly, but you can see Arlington was 17 straight unanswered points in the fourth quarter to tie it up, lost in OT. But OT teams, the better teams just win in OT. I found just better execution. I think it's such a short distance. I think it favors a short distance with the OT shootout, which I think is a great format. I wish a little more like college, but I get why they do it. It's quicker, it's fast, exciting. You get it done in 10 minutes, if that. So I like that, but it really just depends on your ability to execute. Really sharpen their offense, and also favors teams that have mobile quarterbacks and lots of versatility in offense as well. I find. Excuse me. So I'm not surprised that that DC won an OT or won the OT in particular, but Luis Perez, solid performance, looking good. Not amazing, but he competes. He's a good leader. I like Luis Perez. I don't think he's anything special, but I think he competes really hard. And he did a good job. I thought they ran the ball decently. Their offense wasn't a huge problem. A lot of us was in the fourth. They got their offense going, but I mean, 2 picks. Not a bad game individually. Oops, daisy. Family with an okay game. Derek King had another touchdown. I don't we coach who's been on the show before. Not a Derek King guy. Well, not a 2 quarterback guys. Derek King he thinks is too small, which I kind of agree with. But put some numbers. He threw a really bad pick. I think in the fourth. All they had to do was run that one drive out. All they had to do was not do a turnover. They were up 11, I think, and then he turned it over. So just not super characteristic of DC. 2 interceptions. I mean, they don't throw that many interceptions. Not running 20 carries for 50 yards from this team. That is bad. That is a red flag. I don't know what happened with that. I mean, Abram Smith and Jordan, in between those 3 guys getting, what is that, 50 yards between those 3 guys rushing is bad. Bad, bad. They need to run the ball. If they play St. Louis, they play Seattle, even Houston, if they can't run the ball, they're not going to win. Arlington's a good defense. I mean, they're a good defense, but they're not like show stopping. I don't know. DJ Swearinger with the pick. I want to go to the team stats just to see the penalties. They do these things. The stats are so weird looking for the team stats. I don't know why they do it. 11 penalties and 2 turnovers for DC. They're a good offense. They can't lose the turnover battle. I mean, they can't. They have a good offense, and they got away with it today, but I think it's going to bite them. They kind of been walking this wire all season. I've found they won by 1. They've won by 1 point last weekend. I mean, all these teams are walking tight ropes every week, but just something to keep an eye on. So DC, we'll talk about standings. They clinched the home field in the North Division, championship. I guess North Division championship game, semifinals, whatever you want to call it. So that's big. Arlington does not clinch a playoff spot. We'll talk a little bit about that. This was the game I was focused on, obviously. The Seattle Sea Dragons taking on the St. Louis Battlehawks. I was not feeling great about this game going into it. I picked Seattle because I picked Seattle every time. And they got it done. Ben DiNucci, he had a really good game. He won really stupid pick again. He always does it. But overall, very good game. 38 rushing yards too. So given almost 300 total yards and a rushing touchdown where he trucked the guy. Philip Lindsay, not much else on the ground, but 26 carries. TJ Ham was pretty good too. Ja'Cour Pearson had that unbelievable catch in the third quarter, fourth quarter, second quarter, maybe second quarter. He broke a couple tackles and ran got a pass short of third down sticks, made moves to get the first, and then just kept going. Josh Gordon a couple catches. It's been a little quieter these few weeks, but always seems to have a big catch. Always a great target. Jordan Vesey with a nice play. Defensively, they got really good pressure, 4 sacks, forcing 2 picks. I mean, AJ McCarron, I don't know if he's thrown 2 picks in the game all year. I could be wrong about that, but they made him look not great at times. I mean, they were fine, but their defense, I thought, really stepped up well. So credit to their defense. AJ McCarron, 18 of 30, 186 passing yards on 32 attempts. And 1 TD, 2 picks, sacked 4 times, only 54 rushing yards. Seattle's defense has been sneaky good. They have games I feel like I watch them sometimes and I'm like, they're awful. And then they have games where I'm like, they could beat anyone. I mean, they smoked Houston. They've beaten good teams, their defense, and they almost a couple more conversions and they get it. Marcel Aitman had a good game. Hakeem Butler with no catches. That's not great. Not that he always has a ton, but he usually has a few and is a good red zone target. They couldn't get it done. And defensively only 2 sacks, the 1 pick, which was stupid at the end, but then Seattle, and then immediately the next play. I think it was the next play, maybe the next couple plays. They immediately got the pick, got another pick. So that was big. So great defensive performance, actually, by Seattle. Offense was good, too, but defense really stepped up. Holding St. Louis at home to 12 points was unbelievable. Seattle kicked up the field goal at the end of the game, which a lot of people were confused about, thought they were running to score. We'll talk about it. It was tiebreaker stuff. So they kicked a field goal at the end to win by 18 points. Didn't affect any gambling either, which is good because that'd be annoying for bettors. So, all right, XFL North, top team, DC Defenders. They're going to host the playoff game. Done. We'll talk about the closer ones in a minute. Vipers 2-7. They've been out of it for a few weeks, but I mean, doing okay. They played Houston. Sorry, Houston beat the Vipers 21-7 or 27-21. Excuse me. 28-21. Houston. Not a lot to say. Houston clinches the hosting the home playoff game, which I think they would have clinched anyway. They actually would have clinched it regardless. But they clinched it that game, so it didn't really mean much. Not much to play for. Arlington at 4-5, and San Antonio at 4-5, or San Antonio at 3-6. So let's go to the schedule because this is where it gets interesting. So for week 10. St. Louis at Orlando. You're probably thinking, I'm sorry, we'll go over the North standings quick. So as of right now, the Battlehawks and the Sea Dragons are tied. We'll go over the tiebreakers in a minute, but we can do it now. So, okay. So here are the tiebreakers. So the first one is head-to-head. So for both Arlington and San Antonio, that is split. I know that for Arlington and San Antonio, Arlington and San Antonio are both split the head-to-head, and now St. Louis and Seattle split the head-to-head. Best win-loss percentage in division games. I don't know division records for Arlington and San Antonio. I think they would have the same if they both won, this would come into play. What I think is also true is, first, I know is true, for St. Louis and Seattle, they have the same division record because they both lost to DC twice, they both beat Vegas twice, and they split against each other. So the division record is going to be 5-1. Nope. 3-3. They'll both be 3-3 in the division. Okay. Strength of victory. So then it'll come to strength of victory in all games, combined record of opponents and wins. So if St. Louis and Seattle both win next week, they'll have the same record, and they'll have beaten all of the same teams. They'll beat all the same teams the same amount of times. They both beat Houston. They both beat every team in the South. They both beat Vegas twice. They both lost to DC twice, and they both will have beaten each other, who have the same record. So they'll have that. So that, as of right now, if St. Louis and Seattle both win next week, 1 through 3 tiebreakers are done. It's easier in the South, but then best combined record division teams in points scored and points allowed in all games. So that's just going to come to their point differential, which is why Seattle kicked that field goal at the end to give themselves the extra point differential. They'll have a bigger point scored. So their point differential per game is now 3 points bigger, that gives them a point. So basically it's 0.3 points added to their total. I don't know what that number looks like right now, but so like basically they added 0.3 points to their total season stat, because 3 points over 10 games, 0.3 points. So they added that. So that's why they kicked that field goal. I think if you look at the ESPN has this, it's going to go because ESPN had it kind of nice. So the total point differential. So you look at point. So right now, Seattle is behind in the playoff. The reason that St. Louis is a tiebreaker right now is because they have a better division record at the moment. But that's because Seattle still has to play Vegas one more time. So once they play Vegas, assuming they have to win that game, but if they win that game, they'll have the same division record. So Seattle has more ways to lose this, I guess, is one way to put it. They could easily win it. They win by enough. But so anyway, point differential. Seattle Sea Dragons point differential 47 plus 47. St. Louis plus 22. So I think if they had once they have the same division record, assuming, let's say they each win by 7 points. Let's say they each won by 7 points, for example. I think what would happen is, let's say they each won by, they each get a 7 points. So St. Louis is a 29-point differential. Seattle's a 54-point differential. If they both win, they both have that. Seattle would have the tiebreaker. And they would advance. The big thing is, if St. Louis loses next week and Seattle, if St. Louis wins and Seattle loses, St. Louis is in. Seattle wins, St. Louis loses, Seattle's in. If they both lose, St. Louis would go in because they would have the third tiebreaker, which is combined record of opponents in wins. No, I don't even know if that's true. Oh no, sorry, I'm lying. They would have this one, the best win-loss percentage in division games. They would have that because they would have lost. They would have gone 2-4 in the division, whereas St. Louis would have gone 3-3. Assuming they both lost that. If they lost that game, that's what would happen. Okay, so it's really confusing, but basically, we're probably assuming both teams win, which we'll talk about the schedule next week, but they're probably both going to win. We're looking at the best combined ranking of division teams on point scoring and ports allowed, which at the moment favors Seattle. I think you're going to see these teams run up the score a lot. It's going to look annoying and it's going to be crappy for the fans of the other teams and the players in their team. I get that. Makes me nervous for like fights and stuff, to be honest, but it's what they have to do. It's not, if you see that, it's not them being jerks. It's not trying to put up, like, be whatever. It's trying to win. So week 10, we got Orlando at St. Louis. Orlando's playing well. You have to think that they are going to want to play for that. It's at home at noon in St. Louis. I guess 11 probably St. Louis time. So we'll see. That's a big game. They'll show up. They need a blowout. They need a blowout. I don't even know if it matters, but they need a blowout. Anyway, they need to win by a lot. DC at San Antonio. Tough starting with San Antonio. They need a win, and they're going to need help later in the day. Arlington could be in a weird, interesting spot because they could have the playoff spot locked up. And then I don't know what you maybe play your starters half the game, maybe sit them. I mean, two teams with nothing to play for, but they're both playing teams with nothing to play for. I mean, DC has nothing to play for. 8-1. You know, they're going to the playoffs fine. They could sit everyone. I don't know what they'll do with the quarterback. Maybe Derek King gets to start. I don't know if they'll put and make Tamu inactive or something. Like, I might consider that and just not play him or play Derek King. I don't know. I'd put three quarterbacks. I wouldn't put both of them. You need them both. I would rest some guys. And Houston's nothing to play for. They've got the top spot locked up. They're hosting the playoff game. They have some banged up a little bit, some injuries. I think if I were them, again, I've talked about this last week, with no bye week, I'm sitting some of those guys. Getting them some rest. If there's a bye week, it's different, but there's no bye, so you got to get those guys the rest. So the San Antonio and Arlington are both playing teams nothing to play for. I think Houston probably like to get a little back on track, if I had to guess. They haven't played amazing. They won 2 games in a row, I guess, but they haven't been playing super well since their start. So I'm wondering what that's going to look like, but interesting to follow. So that San Antonio game, we could know the South Division by Saturday. And then Seattle at Vegas, or Vegas at Seattle. Big, that's a home game, I think. It should matter. Hopefully Seattle fans show up. 4:00 game on the Pacific Coast. So big game. This video's going crazy long. Holy moly. Lots to talk about, though. I'm back. I'm so back in. It is crazy how much I'm in. So we'll see. Seattle has to win that game no matter what happens. They have to win. They have to win. Even if St. Louis loses by 1,000, they can't lose that game because they need a division record. So they have to win at a minimum. The rest could then, I don't know the point differential. I'd have to do the math, but and then we'll see. So here's my picks tip for the week. These are up. Not my best. I did really bad last week. This week, I'm also okay with it. DC screwed Arlington screwed everyone with the over-under. I saw they had a 10.5 wherever they get Caesars. That was too high. I don't know if I would have bet that, but 8.5. I felt pretty good about it. And I was looking pretty good until the fourth quarter. And then San Antonio was a push. They just needed one more extra point or whatever. They won by 2. They needed to win by 2.5 or 3. Oh well, fine. And then Houston was right on. Seattle, I was very much right on. Picked the upset, which I'm like. So I feel a little good. It'd be exciting. Week 10. We'll get into all the previews and all later in the week, but there's that. And then just quick Phillies, USFL, Philly Stars got to win. Birmingham got to win. Michigan got to win. And New Orleans got to win. I did not watch any of the New Orleans game. Watched some of the Michigan game. Watched a little Jersey game. I'm going to talk about the Philly Stars. Case Cookus is so good. It is crazy. Brian Scott is like, nice guy. He seems like a good dude, good leader, but like, I don't know. I never saw any of this from him. Case Cookus. I mean, I know he was in the Rams practice squad with like a broken leg, but I mean, 31 rushing yards, 209 212 passing yards, 3 TDs, no picks. I mean, he was unbelievable. I think he's awesome. I think he's an NFL quarterback for sure. I know he kind of is already, but Devin Gray, Corey Coleman coming on this scene had a nice catch. Devin Gray, Colburn, always good out of the backfield. Matt Colburn's a great pass catching back. They just have so many dudes coming back. Colburn, Gray, Cookus. I think that's their advantage. I don't know how many teams have a quarterback coming back. Yeah, they do these stats so annoyingly. So let's see. I'm just looking. Jamar Smith is coming back. Not the real engine of that team, but and Deshaun Johnson, DeAndre Johnson, excuse me. But I mean, yeah, Cookus with the continuity of him and all those guys, I think they're gonna be fun. Nice. And the standings page doesn't work. That is great stuff, fellas. All right. Thanks for watching this long video. Again, we got exciting week 10. Let me know what you thought about week 9, and thanks for watching.